Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Skin Goals. I'm your host, Lisa Avalos, and this is my co host, Kelly.
Hey all, I'm Kelly Sitler, and I'm super excited to be here to talk everything skin goals, such an enthusiast in this area. And today we have a very special and brilliant guest joining us. We have Dr. Awasatu Dumbuya, who is PhD, Director of Clinical Research and Scientific Communication for La Roche-Posay at L'Oreal. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you for having me, and please call me Awa.
Will do. We can do it. I might slip in a doctor now and again.
But we're so excited for you to be here with us. And just for our listeners out there in the world, can you give us a little background on yourself and your time at L'Oreal?
Yeah, sure. So I am a trained research scientist with expertise in cell biology and signaling, plus clinical evaluation of skincare products. I hold a bachelor degree in pharmacology and toxicology because I had the intention to go to medical school after college, but during my sophomore year, I took one molecular biology class and I really fell in love with research. And so after college, I decided to earn my PhD in molecular pharmacology and physiology. And that was really exciting for me at the time. But then completing my PhD, I wanted my next step to allow me to do translational work. So how can I use my expertise as a cell biologist, but also have an impact in people's lives? And to make a long story short, I ended up obtaining my PhD and joining L'Oreal Research and Innovation Division, where most of my work has been focused on developing methodologies and protocols for evaluation of new skincare actives focused on diverse communities. And today, I'm really excited to be part of La Roche-Posay team and get to do not only the incredible research, but also ensuring that it is translatable to various communities.
That's amazing. And we're so excited to pick your brain about everything skin pigmentation and all the research that you've done. And today's episode, we're going to focus in on unveiling the science on skin pigmentation and all the work that L'Oreal has done on this topic.
Yes. And Awa, I cannot wait to learn from you. Just hearing about your credentials is just so impressive. But you're also just such a beautiful communicator. So thanks so much for being here. And let's begin then, right? And Lisa, the topic, right? We were just using that word, that big word, pigmentation, right? Skin pigmentation and understanding it. But, I want to understand that word to begin with. So what exactly is skin pigmentation and how does it vary among individuals?
Yes. So skin pigmentation is the scientific term for skin color. And it is controlled in the top layer of our skin in specialized cells called melanocytes. These melanocytes produce melanin, which is the main pigment or molecule that determine not only skin pigmentation or skin color, but also hair and eye colors. What really makes us all different is the level and the type of melanin that is being present in our skin.
That's so fascinating. So, what factors determine the different skin color that we observe in people? We're all different colors, and how does that happen?
Yes. So I have a little schematic to share with you. So you can see here on the slide that it's trying to highlight two things. It's trying to highlight skin pigmentation in a lighter individual versus a dark skinned individual. What's important to note is that melanin mostly exists in two colors. There's the eumelanin that has a yellow-red color, and there's the eumelanin that has a black and brown color. What determines the differences in skin tones is mostly the levels and type of melanin that your melanocytes contain. So on this schematic, from a melanocyte from a dark individuals, what you are seeing is that there's a lot more of that black-brown melanin versus in a skin that has a lighter color. In a lighter skin tone, you have a lot more of that yellow/red color, which makes the skin appears lighter versus darker. And that is important to note because most folks may think that the differences between me, for example, versus you two ladies is that I have a lot more melanocytes, but that is not the case. We're all relatively born with the same number of melanocytes. The difference is the type of melanin that your melanocyte produces and the levels.
That's really interesting because I was one of those people that thought a skin of color just had more melanin. That's what everybody says, more melanin. But we all have the same amount of melanin. It's just different colors.
Yeah, same amount of melanocytes, so the cells that make melanin, but we have different levels of melanin and different type of melanin in our skin, and that's what determines different skin tones.
Oh, can you
So
repeat the
interesting.
two? Can you repeat the two types of melanin? The yellow. What was the name of it? I just want to
Yeah.
try to get the names. Try to remember.
Yes. So the melanin that has a yellow and orange color, which is commonly found in lighter skinned individuals, the name is called pheomelanin.
Okay.
The other kind or the other type of melanin that is commonly found in people with darker skin, such as myself, it has a black and brown color, and its name is called eumelanin.
Eumelanin and
Eumelanin.
Eumelanin. That's right.
I'm always someone who
Very
wants to
cool.
get the lingo right, like, and try to understand. I'm such a learner. And I also was wondering, like, could you tell us a little bit about the significance of the term skin of color? I know that's something that we're using, in talking about this topic.
Yes. So in the US, the term skin of color or ethnic skin really encompasses a wide range of ethnic groups, skin complexions, and cultures that characterize individuals with deeply or darkly pigmented skin, meaning high levels of melanin in their skin, or individuals with melanin rich skin, which is also AKA individuals with darker skin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what skin of color means, and it includes but not limited to persons of African, Asian, Latino, as well as Native Americans and Middle Eastern descent. On this slide, I really like this image because when we define the term skin of color, it's also very important to recognize the cultural standards of beauty, the cultural skin and hair care practices, as well as structural and functional differences that makes us all from different skin tone and background, and just really encompasses the diversity that we're able to see.
I love this diagram. It's a beautiful representation. It makes a lot of sense. So what's the proper term when discussing these different skin types?
Yes. So in the US, skin of color, people of color, or BIPOC, which stands for Black Indigenous People of Color, including melanin-rich skin, are all commonly inclusive terms to describe individuals with darker skin. So it's important for all of us to be aware of those terms. But as a personal note, for example, I was very familiar with the term skin of color, people of color, but I was not familiar with the term BIPOC. And I learned this while working with another dermatologist from African American descent. So I think it's important for all of us to be aware of these terms, but it's also okay to not be aware of these terms and just being willing to learn in order to ensure that we're all inclusive.
I so agree. Like in trying to increase, like it just as a listener, trying to understand and understand the lingo and the terminology. So appreciate your thoughts and sharing with us, Awa, on that. And I know another area of expertise for you is how we are all affected by that big ball of gas in the sky, right? The sun. And no matter our skin, right? No matter, we all are, obviously the sun is out there shining, right? And I'm curious, like, how does that impact our skin? Could you tell us about the different components of sunlight?
Yes, absolutely. So sunlight is interesting. I have a nice little slide, but I try my best to also explain it. It's quite fascinating. So sunlight, or solar radiation, which is a scientific term for sunlight, at the Earth's surface consists of 5% UV, or ultraviolet light, 45% visible light, and 50% of infrared. Visible light is the portion of sunlight that is visible to the naked eye. So think of all the colors of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Infrared is the portion of sunlight that gives us that warmth. So for example, when you go to the restaurant or you go to Domino's and pick up your food, you can see that the food is being under that red light. So it's actually infrared light because it keeps the food warm. So now going back to the UV portion, it can be broken down into UVC, UVB, and UVA. Most of the UVC portion of UV light gets absorbed by the ozone layer on top of the Earth. So our skin is exposed to 5% UVB and 95% UVA, which UVA can be further broken down into UVA2 and UVA1. But what is important to know is that sunlight-induced skin responses can include sunburn, peeling, erythema, hyperpigmentation, or skin darkening, as well as photoaging and skin cancers in all of us. And that is important to note.
So, is there common skin responses and exposure, especially with individuals of skin of color compared to lighter individuals? Because I feel
Yeah.
like we don't really talk about the differences or if there is a difference.
Yes, no, I think it's a great question, and I'm glad that you asked. So, a myth to break: regardless of your skin color, we are all susceptible to sunlight-induced skin responses, which includes, again, sunburn, peeling, erythema, hyperpigmentation, photoaging, and skin cancers. Darker skin individuals are less likely to burn because of the high levels of melanin in their skin, which provides some protection. But because of the high melanin, we are also susceptible to experience sun-induced hyperpigmentation very easily. While lighter individuals, due to their lower levels of melanin in their skin, they are more susceptible compared to their darker individuals' counterparts to experience burn, peeling, erythema, and photoaging. So we can all experience sun-induced skin responses, but depending on the levels of melanin, we are more susceptible to some versus some others.
That's very interesting. And this is a perfect spot to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. And we're going to continue our great conversation with Awa.
Amazing. So moving on to sun protection, how exactly do sunscreens protect skin against sun damage, Awa?
It's a great question. So sunscreen includes active ingredients that help prevent the sun's UV radiation from reaching your skin or our skin. And there are two types of sunscreens. There are sunscreens that has physical mineral filters, which are ingredients that block and scatter the UV rays like a shield before they penetrate our skin. And the second type of sunscreens are called chemical sunscreens, which contains chemical UV filters that absorb the UV rays like a sponge before they can damage our skin. So the main key message is that sunscreens have ingredients that prevent the sun rays from penetrating our skin. Whether they are physical or chemical, it's a different type of mechanism.
So, are there specific sunscreens that you would recommend, especially for individuals concerned with skin pigmentation?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the American Academy of Dermatology, which is really the most influential and representative dermatology group in the US, they recommend everyone using a sunscreen with at least an SPF of 30. So that would be my recommendation, to use any SPF that is suitable for your skin with an SPF of 30. Now, for darker skin, depending on your complexion, some sunscreen may leave a white cast. So I will recommend to play around a bit with which sunscreen may be suitable for your darker complexion and to see which one can blend easily. Now, tinted sunscreen tends to be a little bit more popular because of that tint. They tend to be blendable, they tend to blend better on darker skin. But the basic recommendation will be to use any sunscreen that has a SPF of at least 30.
I love that. And I also think that the best sunscreen to use is the one that you're going to use. So any formulation that you like, a spray, a cream, it might be a water-based, gel-based, whatever sunscreen feels great to you is the one that you're going to put on over and over again. And there's different sunscreens for different occasions, like the wardrobe of sunscreen, as I like to say. Like if you're going to be on a beach or if you're at home on a computer, I still put on a sunscreen because those lights can also affect my skin. But yes, at least a SPF of 30. So now I'm jotting all this down.
I love the idea of a wardrobe of sunscreens. Like that just totally
Yeah.
hits for me. Like I'm like, yes, like, and I really do have a wardrobe of sunscreens. I do different sunscreens, depending, like maybe one with a moisturizer in the morning or, if I'm going for a run, something like, water resistant, so.
But yeah, the white cast is probably what people fear the most. I do have a best friend, and one time we went to Scottsdale in a pool, and she loves the story, but she turned white cast when she jumped in that water. So it's just picking the sunscreen that works best for your skin.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about, I believe there's a study conducted on the long-term effects of sunscreen use in skin of color in particular?
Yes. So L'Oreal Research and Innovation Division, in collaboration with dermatologists, published a study whose objective was to investigate the skin benefits of daily sunscreen use for 12 months in women of color versus real life population of the same age and skin type without daily sunscreen in their routine. And this was quite an interesting study because at the time, most of the communication surrounding the benefits of sunscreen or the potential damage of sun exposure on your skin was really focused on lighter individuals. And so L'Oreal took the initiative to partner with dermatologists to create this study. And if I can go on and explain the study design very briefly, it consisted of really partnering with dermatologists, including women of color. Most of them had a Hispanic background, presenting with mild to moderate signs of photoaging, and they separated them into two groups. One group used sunscreen for 12 months. The other group did not use sunscreen and stick to their normal routine. And over time, the scientists monitor the appearance and the quality of their skin.
So I'm so excited to learn what were the key insights of the study. I feel like it's a story coming to life.
Yes. So without further ado, it was very interesting what they were able to find. Overall, they demonstrate that daily sunscreen usage in skin of color can protect your skin from photo-related damage, indicating that effective sunscreen use is not only protective and beneficial for lighter skin individuals, but it's also critical in improving overall skin quality for skin of color patients. On this slide that I'm sharing images of the group of the women that were in a sunscreen group and images of women that were in a control group. And what you see is that the women in the sunscreen group, when you compare baseline and after 12 months, overall, their hyperpigmentation was reduced. The level of evening of the skin was more even and improved. And overall, the skin quality was improved compared to the group that did not use sunscreen.
Wow, these photos are really telling. It makes me want to run to my bathroom and put on some more sunscreen. But wow, what a difference between 12 months on wearing sunscreen, one different step than not wearing sunscreen.
It can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I can really see the difference between the control group and then the sunscreen group. I'm like the 12-month, like it's incredible, honestly, the even toneness that I'm seeing in their skin. It's such a cool study. Now, one quick question. Is this study published or?
Yes, this study was published recently, I believe in 2020. And that's what is so amazing about, because again, we know the benefits of sunscreen for a very long time. But when you really think about it, most of the education and advocacy of sunscreen usage has really targeting lighter individuals. So L'Oreal really taking the initiative to look at the long-term benefits of sunscreen on darker skin recently. This is new to the field and really demonstrating overall the benefits of sunscreen usage on darker skin individuals, not only for lighter individuals, but also for folks with melanin-rich skin. And that was quite a major finding for the field.
Amazing.
The learner in
Thanks
me
for
is like,
sharing.
so excited.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so true. Dr. Awa Satu, any final thoughts from you for our listeners, like especially for all of us who are looking to achieve healthy skin? Like I'm hearing sunscreen, but in particular, really for individuals with skin of color, maybe someone like people who have been underrepresented in the past. Any advice or any recommendations?
Yes. And you said it. You said it, Kelly. Sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. My first recommendation to achieve a radiant skin is to implement a sunscreen or a moisturizer with an SPF into your daily routine. And that is very easy to do because what it will do, it will not only manage the discoloration, correct existing dark spots, but also preventing potential sun damage and skin darkening that can happen with excessive sun exposure. So my first recommendation will be to implement a sunscreen into your routine. And then as a next step, potentially consider including a cream or a serum that contains ingredients that are known to manage discoloration, like niacinamide or vitamin C. These are great ingredients to include into your skincare routine to reach that radiant skin, especially for skin of color, but including for all individuals.
We're going to get our glow back, Kelly. Take all these tips
Yes.
and implement them. I'm excited for that.
Seriously.
But thank you so much, Awa, for sharing your expertise with us and insights on skin pigmentation and sun protection. It's been a great conversation. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Skin Goals. Come back and visit us because we're going to do another episode with Awa and gain some more valuable knowledge on the science of skin pigmentation. Till next time.